What's happening, people? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us out here on the channel. Look, if you like the Dolphins content here, do me a favor. You like the projects that I do, it would mean a lot to you if you guys could go subscribe to the Porpoise Pod. My guy, Alejandro Solana, and I doing a multi-episode podcast, getting you ready for all things Dolphins, reacting to all things Dolphins. Got a new episode coming out later this week as well. As we wind down to Dolphins and Ravens, looking forward to it. This is, I think, going to be a really, really fun matchup with a lot of storylines as far as they just played last year. How much is that going to matter going into this year? Talked a little bit about that in the last episode, but I do think it's fun. Lamar Jackson spoke a little bit about this and the idea that they, were caught off guard last year by the Dolphins. And I understand why they were. Like, it was really such a turning point for the Dolphins defense going into last year because, for the most part, they were a pretty, the defense just wasn't what we thought it was going to be going into that. And for them to have that kind of performance to really ignite the rest of their season, which was very, very good up until that unfortunate loss in Tennessee. So it will be interesting to see if they can make that adjustment to it because, look, the Dolphins have good defensive personnel. I was talking about this week. I know nobody cares about anybody's fantasy team, but I was talking on the air today, and I was like, I got Lamar Jackson on my fantasy team. And one, I have a conflict. I don't I don't want Lamar Jackson. I root for him in general as a player. I just don't want him to do good this week against the Dolphins. And also, it's a tough challenge. It's a tough challenge of going against the Dolphins defense. Also, I got Kirk Cousins on my bench, and he's taking on the Eagles. They give up 1 billion points to the Lions. Nobody cares about my fantasy team. But the point is, I do think that even if they are making the adjustments and the Dolphins aren't as aggressive or as if they don't go for it as much as they did the last time, there still will be those windows I think they'll have to make him very uncomfortable. And maybe the Dolphins were in a point last year, shortened week. Remember, they didn't have Tua that week. Jacoby Brissett was the starting quarterback before Tua came in. So they're going in with the thought that maybe Tua is not going to play in the game. And really have nothing to lose at that point of the season either if you're the Dolphins. Everybody thought you were going to get smoked. Everybody thought that you were going to get absolutely destroyed in that game. So maybe there was a mindset, hey, let's just go for broke in this game. Will they come at this with the same attack plan? I don't know. Tough to say. I would say if you're a Dolphins team that had that much success, show that you can beat it. Show that you can have some adjustment for it this time around. Or, it is, or maybe Lamar Jackson's licking his chops and he hopes that's the thing. That's the beauty of the game, right? But the other interesting element of this, of course, is Lamar Jackson and his contract situation. There's going to be Dolphin fans and there's going to be South Florida fans who are going to be looking at this if he outperforms Tua Tagovailoa and being like, I want that guy. I want that guy as quarterback. I want that guy for the Miami Dolphins. And I know there'll be people, I don't want him either. I want the perfect quarterback. I want the unicorn. But in a real world, many people would love signing up an MVP and making him their franchise quarterback if things don't work out with the Baltimore Ravens. So this is another interesting stamp game for Tua to get a win against the team that has a quarterback that people wouldn't be upset about him getting the gig down here eventually, right? Like this is, it was interesting with him, the matchup last week, him versus Mac Jones. Listen, it wasn't the most thrilling quarterback duel by any means, but he still got the win. He's 4-0 against Belichick, even if he wants to call it a team accolade. This time around, he can go to 2-0 against Lamar Jackson with the great win that he had on Thursday night last year. And now he could add another one, get the Dolphins off to a 2-0 start. But, people are going nutty with the Tua thing. I know it's a big obsession around everybody because it's almost like you have two records for the Miami Dolphins. It's like what the Dolphins do and what Tua does. It's like almost two separate entities. And you wish that they could just be united and kind of be combined. But today was the latest day where people were going nutty about a couple of things that were said. That first, you had Ryan Fitzpatrick. This went viral on Dolphins Twitter. He was on Pardon My Take. He's been making the rounds. Apparently, Ryan Fitzpatrick is just going to do all the talking this offseason, and a lot of it's going to have to do with the Miami Dolphins because he was a teammate of Tua. Tua's a polarizing topic, so it's going to get a lot of clicks. It's going to get a lot of views. I'm no stranger to that. I know how the game works with that. But the thing that's funny about listening to him is just like, why are so many people interested in a guy who is so mediocre at his job? Why are they so interested in his opinion? And the simple fact of it is, it's because he has a beard. I mean, really, you would never take the opinion of a guy that looks like this. It's the facts. Look at that guy right there and tell me that you want to hear what his opinion is on quarterbacking. You don't. It's the simple fact of it. Especially if I also put up that face and I put up his resume, you would say, wait, that guy's never made the playoffs and I want to hear what he has to say on any kind of a sports talk show? Of course you don't. But because he has a cool beard, he looks like Conor McGregor, let's throw him on there. Let's get wacky with it. But now he was basically going on to the idea that Tua, doesn't have any elite skill set. Can't be a top 10 quarterback because he doesn't have any elite skill set. Not big enough, not fast enough, doesn't have the big arm, can't create out of the pocket. Basically has good anticipation and accuracy, which are two of the hardest things to have as a quarterback, by the way. Two things that Josh Allen didn't have the first couple of years of his career. But he says needs to be elite, needs to be the best at the league if he's going to be top 10 all around. And I would just say to Ryan Fitzpatrick, listen, you may have some points there in that Tua does not have the physical, natural gifts that a Justin Herbert has or a Patrick Mahomes has or these guys who have those Thor-like arms that can throw it anywhere. That's true. Not taking anything away from it, Fitzpatrick. But I would say for you, as highly as you think of yourself or you think Tom Brady should shake your hand, you didn't have that either. What was your superpower? Chucking it up? And sometimes it was a pick. Sometimes it was a bomb that worked, right? And sometimes it was your head gets twisted off, you win on a Hail Mary. Other times it was 4 interceptions and you lose your job. Kind of the story of your career. With Tua Tagovailoa, obviously much higher hopes than some guy who was just a middling Harvard quarterback. People, their patience is running thin with Tua Tagovailoa, and I think a lot of it has to probably do with the idea that two guys in his draft class, in Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, their franchises and their fan bases already think, damn, we got the guy. We are set for the next 15 years. We know this guy's going to be good. And the Dolphins are sitting here, really the only team that had the tough choice in all of that draft because Burrow was going to go number 1. The Chargers were going to take whoever the Dolphins didn't take, and the Dolphins were sitting here with the choice. So there's a lot of people that are running thin on patience and getting very sensitive on a lot of things. But the dumbest thing that I heard people get crazy about, and I think this really does take the cake, was this question Tua was asked, as mundane as it gets. Almost a question that's like almost it was almost weird to ask. But Tua was asked, how does practice get you ready for the game? And Tua goes into this idea of why he needs it because he is a smaller quarterback, and people were losing their mind on this answer.
You want the way you practice to translate to how you play in the game. And so that's why we work a lot on timing. We work a lot on where guys need to be. And for me, for instance, if we have a slant and we have like an over-the-ball player and like another player in the alley and a flat, for me, I can't see because I'm not the biggest guy out there. So if I can't see you, you can't see me, I can't get you the ball. And like spacing with the guys. So if you can't see me, get somewhere to where you can't see me, then I can see you, then I can hit you. And then even within our walkthroughs, that's kind of what I use practice for.
You have a quarterback here who's telling you the difficulties that he has at a position or the things that he has to work on at a position to get good at it and why he has to do the things that he does to have success as a quarterback. I would think it would be weird that Tua Tagovailoa would think to himself, well, if I don't see him, I'm just going to chuck it up there and make things happen. And I know no-look passes have become all the rage because of Patrick Mahomes, but you have guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick who will basically just throw it on up there, and half the time they're getting picked off. And I would say for Tua, like this is not a new thing that smaller quarterbacks need to scan the field at a certain level or have guys in a certain place. Drew Brees, who is a comparative that people put to Tua all the time as far as stature and skill set is concerned. Not saying that he's better than Drew Brees, just saying that's what a quarterback that he's like, and they're buddies now because of Teron Armstead, because Teron Armstead's the best. This is not something that's new, that an idea that a quarterback who is smaller would have trouble seeing over the field or seeing over his offensive line and why they're getting them in certain places. And why wouldn't he practice that? Why wouldn't he get his receivers in a spot where they're on the timing and they're on the chemistry? And I think that you did see some of this in the week 1 where maybe he didn't see Tyreek Hill in certain places, and Tyreek Hill was wide the hell open all over the place. Tyreek Hill, also not the biggest target in the world. This is the part where I know people are kind of thin on patience and they don't want to hear these types of things about what Tua has to overcome and all this, because they've already heard it all before. I had to overcome a mean coach, had to overcome no skill set, had to overcome an offensive line. Now he has to also get used to his offense. Yeah, kind of. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it all happening with a win, though, that the idea that they got the win and they still have things to work on and that they have to get better at. And one of them is, he has to get more timing and more comfort level with Tyreek Hill that he probably doesn't have to get with Jalen Waddle, because have a pass together and they had a whole year under each other's belt. And Tyreek Hill, he has played in a lot of practice with, but had 2-3 snaps with together in the preseason and real competition and real real consequences, and now a whole game. So to me, Tua explaining how he has to succeed in the league or how he has to see things or practice things to get better, I don't understand why that's something to freak out about as a Dolphin fan. There are things that you can get upset about, and there are flaws that Tua has, certainly, with his decision-making and how long he holds onto the football. And I'm not saying this guy is the perfect quarterback or is going to be the next Dan Marino. I don't know. I think I'm willing to kind of just sit there. I'm giving him this year. We are putting him in better circumstances with the idea that he's got a coach that's supporting him, that he really, really seems to like. He does have the offensive skill set and the weapons, and he does seem to have an improved offensive line. The excuses are gone, but you also need to see the season through. It's 17 games, one in the bag. Let's ride it on out. Him saying how he is going to succeed. Look, if he becomes awesome, he's always going to be like this. It's not like Tua's going to grow a third eye on the side of his head. That's not going to happen. He's not going to grow a longer neck to see things. He's not Mike Glennon. So for fans to freak out because Tua said he's small. What do you mean he's small? He's aware of what he's at. I mean, it's no different than, Tyler Hero realizing that he's got T-Rex arms, or Juan Pierre realizing that he's not Barry Bonds. Like, for players to have awareness of what they are and how to succeed at those certain levels is a good thing. I mean, Tyson Fury, it took him forever to realize, hey, I got to lean on people and I can knock them out. Just like it takes certain other fighters to learn their skill sets and adjust to that. So, I mean, like, I'm fine with people criticizing Tua. Cool, do what you want to do. But some of this stuff just gets really, really dumb. One, anything that Ryan Fitzpatrick has to say about him, I'm only going to think about Ryan Fitzpatrick boo-hooing to the media and crying like he was some kind of Hall of Fame quarterback that was wrong. Like, this was not an Eli Manning getting bench situation for the Giants when there was no point of doing that. This is a guy who's never made the playoffs, been on a billion teams, and is a journeyman. And also, like, some comments, fine, freak out about. But this one, like, this was like the most nothing thing that I have heard Tua say that people actually had a reaction to. Very, very strange.